back in Stonewall Jackson, and his name is Jeff Harris. And he's lived in Cincinnati, Ohio for the last 38 years. He and his wife, and they have a family. They have two sons, and they are like Mark's age, maybe a couple of years older. One of them's a couple of years older, and one's Mark's age. And they live in Salt Lake City. And so he and I have emailed and exchanged information, and I'm going to provide that. But the reason he tracked me down through Dinah DeWitt is that he was cleaning his house, cleaning up, and he came across a letter that you had written him after Cub Scouts, and he had saved it.
Oh, yeah, that's why the mother recognized that handwriting.
And he sent it to us so we would have it as a family. And he told me how much that letter meant to him. And
61, is that the date?
Yeah, January.
okay, so I'm going to start reading this. But we had the greatest conversation, and he remembered Scott, and he asked all about you and your family. And he seemed like a really nice guy. He had gone to St. Mark. They had pulled him out around the 7th grade and entered St. Mark, but only for 3 or 4 years, and he finished high school up here in this part of town in W.T. White. So, and he sent this on November the 10th. And dear Mark, it's great to be connected with you again. The enclosed letter from your mother to me as a keeper. It is probably the only letter I received as a child that treated me more as an adult. A rare act, then or now. I've had your mother's letter for 50 years, but know that it is something that you and your family should have going forward as a good family treasure. It is a lovely and gracious letter, accurately reflecting the character of the person who wrote it. Please say hello to your parents for me. They were two from among many parents with children at Stonewall Jackson who helped put most of us on the right track to a darn good life. Like you, I'm sure I'm grateful for what they did for us. Please stay in touch. I intend to do the same. And he and I have exchanged emails, but I told him I was going to wait till today to let you read it. And I don't know if you want to read it out loud, but I love that letter, Mother. But I couldn't read it without crying, so you would have to read it.
Sure, now I'll let you read it.
But it was you talking to Jeff Harris, and I don't know if you wrote a similar letter to every Cub Scout, but it may have been.
Thank you.
It may have been the letter. It may have been when he was getting ready to go to St. Mark's, or
So thank you for a rose bush and a candle.
You're right, Wanda. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed part of it too.
Dear Jeff, the rose tree you brought to me at Christmas is one of my prized possessions. I shall use it all through the year in various spots in the house. It means even more to me because you gave it to me. I can see that I can use the candle you made for me for several years. A very special thank you goes to you from me. It has been very satisfactual, as we say at our house, being a den mother for you 8 boys. I wouldn't trade our Tuesday sessions together for anything. You 8 boys have been a great group, and yet you are each an individual, and that is good. You're now 11, and your mind and body are both developing, so developing so healthily and fast. I know as you move on to new activities in sports and leisure pastimes that you will be as steady and dependable as you have been at ages 9 and 10. Life is wonderful, Jeff. There is a time in our lives for each stage.
Oh, man, that's beautiful. You want me to read it?
Little boyhood,
Yeah.
Okay. Little boyhood, middle boyhood, and grown-up boyhood. We live each stage and look expectantly to the next one. Knowing you as I have learned to know you these 2 years has let me know that you will take each stage of your growing up with a smile and a good sense of humor. I hope you will always feel that I am one of your grown-up friends who not only loves you, but who is interested in everything you do. Sincerely, Mrs. Good.
Isn't that great?
Nice.
I want this stationery
remember
too.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Dallas 6, Texas.
What does that mean?
Well, before zip codes, you had
Yeah.
postal zones. So this is, but I remember when zip codes came.
So we were, by the way, that part of town is now 75206.
Oh.
So they
Well, you
retain,
used to say Dallas 6, Texas,
Yeah,
instead of
this
Dallas,
was,
Texas,
this was the
It must have been.
address.
Yeah, that's interesting.
and that's pretty
Yeah, so y'all are
stationary.
in 14.
Yes.
We are.
Yeah.
129.
I don't remember which one he was.
I do.
I didn't know that.
5900
There was
Penrose.
no area code on the
Yeah.
I
telephone.
love that.
Yeah.
And
This child
that wonderful ink held up.
Yes, lived down the street from us.
Was it
All
that
of it
color
held up.
back then?
You know, it might have been a little darker, but it was definitely not your usual blue.
Okay, yeah, my mother had a friend that wrote in that color always, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
and then
I-
it's on the thinner paper, a really nice quality.
Yeah, with
You know,
an
paper.
imprinted,
Yeah.
You know, our guidebook for the Cub Scouts had all kinds of activities, and there were more than you could do. You picked out what you wanted to do. And I found out when I went to meetings every 3 or 4 meetings, 4 months, that very seldom did the leader take those children to the kitchen. So I just decided we were gonna make cookies. And that was one of the funniest experiences because we did it about 3 times in the several years that I led these children. And that German Shepherd of ours would go in the kitchen and get right in the middle and lie down. So he faced one way, he faced the east, and then he'd get up after a while and face the west. And boys were mixing up cookies. We had flour all over the floor, and I knew that was the way it was going to be, so we didn't make any big thing about it. And then, but when Prince got up and started walking around in the flour, that was a little different because he had 4 legs. And so, when we made 3 different kinds of cookies. We made chocolate chips, and I decided we'd make sand tarts, even that was not exactly the easiest thing, because I picked out 2 boys to form them in their hands, and they were formed, you know, oblong and rounded off at the end, and then we rolled them in confectioner's sugar. So let's see, it was chocolate chips and that peanut butter cookies. And when the only one that nearly ran me crazy was
Rex Joe.
no
Don
Don
Terry.
Terry.
Yeah.
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 Don used to run away from home and come to our house on a Saturday. And he'd come walking in, and I got to where I said, "Does your mother know where you are?" "No." I said, "Well, what are you angry about?" "Well, he used to tell me something that didn't amount to a hill of beans." I said, "Well, I'll tell you, I'm gonna call your mother right now and tell her you're here, and that I, as of right now, am inviting you for dinner." Well, he just lit up, and he ate with us, and I said, "Come on, Don." Mark took him home. And I never did know what we saved, you know, was he really gonna go farther? But so I just told him before he left, on the first time, I said, if you decide to run away again, which I hope you will not get in that situation, you be sure you run here. And that was all I said about it. I didn't say what I was gonna do with him.
Is that why you kept showing up a lot? I mean, I was kinda like, is he here again?
Well, I didn't talk to you all about it too much. I just
I don't think
thought
we
that
could
Don
just
was
go
working
right
through,
there, did we?
something.
No, I didn't.
He was always
Yeah, and he just went and looked in Jan's wastebasket.
That's weird.
Nope. Don't worry about it.
I'm not worried. That our
Dog
dogs,
coming.
I think our dogs
The